So anyway, back to this. So now that I have my sample selected and it's got a perfect loop, what I want to do now is I want to drag it into the playlist. Now I've already done that, but I'm just going to make a couple of quick adjustments real quick just to give you guys a little bit of an example. Now, when I drag my sample into the playlist, well, the way I do that, first and foremost, for those that don't know, so you got Edison up. Edison has this little icon that looks like a piece of paper that has a little triangle over it. What you want to do is just grab that, drag it out, and then just drag your sample into Edison. So that's how you do that. Now, if you notice the sample, sometimes it actually will be like this, but this is just an example. When you load your sample into Edison, now unless you got lucky and chose the same exact tempo of the beat, it's probably going to look something like this. It's going to have this left over at the end. Let me go back a little bit. When you bring your sample into the playlist is set up in bars. All right, it's set up in bars, and this represents your time. And this is also used for you to put your drum pattern, whatever sequences you're going to use. Like if you got a drum solo or a guitar solo, vocals, your hook, verse, whatever, that's all going to go in your playlist for your song pattern. This is how you're going to arrange your song. So this basically represents a timeline. So on your timeline, you have your bars basically. If you come up here to your playlist menu, what you want to do is you want to find the option that says snap. Okay, snap to grid. What snap does is it basically outlines the grid in sections. It divides it into sections according to time. And what that means is that this particular grid is divided into bars because I set it to bar. What that means is that every single one of these bars represents four beats. So 4 beats per measure, remember, or 4 beats per bar. So basically it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 beats per measure. Okay? 4 beats per measure. So 4 beats per measure. That is your playlist option. Now, the snap to grid option can get even more complex than that. You can go next step up and do it by beat, which is a really good way to do it because then you can see, where your hits and your snares land on beat. Now, that's just to get it so that you can be more intricate. If you're going to chop your samples up more than what they are, then that's a good thing to have so you can know exactly where the beats are. But I like to keep it on bar just for the basic, novices. So once you have the playlist set to bar, once you have the playlist set to bar and you have your samples in there, what you want to do is you want to make sure now that your sample is adjusted to basically 4/4 time. So basically, like I said, there's 4 bars in a measure, right? Or 4 beats in a bar. So if there's 4 beats in a bar, you basically want your sample to be about 4 bars long. So it has to be even. So you could make it 3 and you can add some other stuff in there, but that's if you are, really getting really good and you know how to adjust and do all that kind of stuff. And I can get even in depth into that, but this is just for novices. But basically, you want to have it set the bar and you want to try to get either 4 or an 8 bar loop. So because of the size of the sample that I just took out, to me, to get to an 8 bar loop, I'd have to drag it all the way up here, and that's not really feasible when I can just cut this, not really cut it, but I can adjust it to fit into this 4 bar loop section. To do that, we're going to go to our channel settings, and what we're going to do is we're going to find our sample. We're going to bring up our channel settings, and what we're looking for in our channel settings is we're looking for the time stretching option. Okay. In the time stretching options, what you want to do is you want to choose tonal. The reason why you choose tonal is because it's going to adjust your sample not only to the time when you adjust it, but it's also going to keep it in pitch. So it's not going to raise the pitch annoyingly because you resample it, or because it actually resamples it when you adjust it. It's going to keep it in pitch, which is a really cool thing about FL Studios. It keeps it in pitch so you can use it however you want. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select our tonal option here, and we're just going to snap it into place. Right? 4 bars. Let's do that again so we just snap it into place. Okay? We just move that up and down, snaps it into place. There's a 4-bar loop there. Like I said, you could do an 8-bar loop. You could do an 8-bar loop if you want to, like, do another 4, but it'll just be because of the tempo, it'll just be too long. So usually with samples, you start with a 4-bar loop, okay, in FL Studio. Now, if you have a 4-bar loop in FL Studio in there, if you play the beat along with the metronome, or the sample along with the metronome once it's in there, it should sound like this. See how the metronome is playing right along with the sample? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. And that's what you want. You want your sample aligned with the playlist so that you can have everything in time. So all you have to do now is keep everything snap to bar. So whenever you add your other instruments and stuff, you can go, okay, this needs to go here. This is a fill. It needs to go here, and so forth and so forth. The next step that I like to do is I like to add my drums, and I'm not really going to go in depth into that, but just for an example, just for recording purposes, I'll add my drum sample. So I added a drum sample. So again, if you have the beat already laid out and you have your sample loaded into your FL Studio playlist and you put them together, it should sound something like this. So thanks for joining me today. This is Rebel Lion from Mach 5 Music. Hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Go ahead and give me some comments below if you have any questions. Rate, subscribe to my channel if you want. This is kind of my first tutorial, but there will be plenty more to come. And I want to just shout out Black Pilots, everybody in the fam, Self-Made, GN from Up and Up Records, and everybody in the crew. Peace out.